If you're a stepmom who's stressed out and looking for ways to reduce your stress and not lose everything, then you are in the right place. I am a stepmom coach, and I've been a stepmom for just about 20 years. I grew up in a step family, and I have taught stepmoms how to reduce stress through a method that I call game planning. Now, game planning is a method of bringing in the different methods that are proven to help stepmoms reduce stress in different types of situations. Whoa, there's a mosquito. That's a stressor. There are certain strategies that are proven to help in different stressful situations for stepmoms. And game planning is where you figure out what you're going to do before the stressor, during the stressor, after the stressor, and for the time period between when that stressor happens, right? Between when it did happen and when it's going to happen again. And this kind of game planning helps give you control, and it gives you the ability to predict in a better way your circumstances, and to figure out what you can control, what you can't, and where to put your energy and your expectations, which totally positively impacts our communication with our partners and our stepkids and ourselves. So game planning is super powerful. Now, one of the elements that can help us with planning out how to reduce our stress, if it's a recurring stress and we can predict it, is to think about our environment. What can we do about the environment that we're in during that stressor? And what can we do to help to make it so that our environment helps support us and supports our well-being? For example, if the drop-off happens and let's say it happens in the mudroom, and it tends to happen right when we are going to be cooking or eating, then well, perhaps we want to change up our environment at that time, and instead of sitting in the kitchen at that time, maybe we go and we eat in the living room or eat on the porch instead, because we can predict those drop-offs. So we can change our pattern, because that's what we have control over, and go to another pleasant environment. So there you go. That actually helped reduce the stress during drop-offs. That's just one simple example. Environment can also include, how loud the area is, how bright the lights are, what other sounds and smells are happening that might be triggering or distracting or just overwhelming for your own ability to relax during the stressor. And so everything from, let's say, even kids leaving messes, and you keep tripping over their messes because they're in the hallway or something like that. And that's part of your environment. And the stressor, would be the fact that the kids are messing up the hallway all the time and creating tripping hazards. So what do you do about that, right? Well, that's instead of using your environment to reduce your stress, the environment has become the stressor. And I see that a lot, where there isn't enough control over the environment to use the environment as a way to reduce stress. So what do we do? What can you do when, as a stepmom, you need to change your environment in order to reduce your stress, but you don't have a lot of control over it? You're going to reclaim your environment. There are 4 ways to do this, at least 4 ways. You may know of another, so please, please, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas. And these ideas and others are in the free game planning kit down below. You can see that in the description, and just upload that and take yourself through the process. I think it will really be helpful for you to get your creative juices flowing for finding solutions to your stressors. As far as your environment goes, there are 3 options that are seldom talked about until it's a crisis, until we're burnt out. And what I'd like to encourage you to do is to consider these before that as well, because they can also prevent crisis, prevent burnout, and improve your relationship with your partner and your stepkids. Well, there's also a 4th, and the 4th, we'll start with the 4th. So the 4th is one that we all tend to do, which is stay at home, often living full-time with our stepkids, either full year full-time or some of the year full-time or part-time with the kids. They come and go on certain days of the week, or full-time where they're always there. And we also may have our own kids who are always there or part of the time with their other parent, right? So there can be this constant changing of the guard as far as stepkids go or our own kids. And that would be staying full-time. Now, because using your game plan can help stepfamily life be a lot less challenging, staying full-time with your kids and the stepkids can actually become easier and just more pleasant of an experience, right? So you can just stay full-time and be healthy and grow, and you can be using your power to create a healthier life in general for yourself. So that's great. Staying full-time can work, especially if you have a game plan. Because there's sort of this ripple effect. If you have a game plan, you've learned how to cope with things well at home in your stepfamily dynamics, the odds are that will make you stronger in the rest of your life as well. All right, now let's go to the 3 other cases where some more creativity and open-mindedness becomes very helpful and has saved many a stepfamily and many a stepmom as well. So keeping in mind that about 70% of stepmoms leave their stepfamilies or are asked to leave within about 5 years. It isn't a law, it's just an average. So it's something to look out for. Actually, I often mention this, base jumpers who just jump off of the sides of cliffs and they descend freely until the very, very, very last minute when they pull their parachute. They have a higher rate of survival than stepmoms do in terms of relationship. So game planning is super important, and let's talk about what you can do, these 3 options for your environment other than staying full-time. Living separately from your partner. Okay, I said it. And a lot of stepmoms find this to be just a last resort, a sign of failure, an act of desperation. But I want to tell you right now, living apart together, LAT, is an actual thing. It's not only for stepmoms and stepfamilies. It can also be for couples with or without children where they find that their dynamic does better when they have time apart, balanced with time together, or when each has their own little studio apartment or their own she shed or a he shed, and they can have time a day or 2 or longer apart in order to reset their nervous systems, get back in touch with themselves, have alone time with their own children. So living apart together doesn't have to be a sign of desperation, an act of desperation, or a sign of failure. It does not have to be that. How would you feel about that? Has it crossed your mind? And I'm really curious if it has crossed your mind. Has it only crossed your mind with some shame or judgment or grief because you're thinking of it as failure, right? How does it feel to know that it doesn't have to be, that a lot of stepmoms make it past that 5-year mark because they've taken on this strategy of living separately from their partner, part-time or full-time? The other is related to that. The second way of controlling your environment as a stepmom would be to leave regularly. Now, I'm a fan of this. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I have a camper van. I took a cargo van and fixed her up, and she is now my Pegasus and my plan B. And I take regular journeys with her, and I sleep and cook and eat. I have total control over my environment, and I go to wonderful places and spend the weekend or longer. I've spent entire winters and just reset, come back into center. I work remotely, so it works, and I visit friends and family. Leaving regularly could also be, all right, every Thursday night, I'm going to go and stay with my best friend, and we're going to have movie night, and that's what we're going to do. Or it could be anything. It could be anything at all. What do you have in your life that you would, if you were not living in your home for that night or that week or that month or that season, whatever it is, what would you love to do? Where would you love to be? And if you can go with your work, fabulous. If you can take your work with you, wonderful. If you have to be in the local area for your work, is there a friend you could stay with? Is there a local campground you'd like to stay in? So just think creatively like that. And it's a wonderful gift you can give yourself, is that freedom. And also the message that you send to yourself when you do that. It's this message of, I matter. I really matter. And I don't have to be on call 24/7 for my stepfamily. I just don't. And if you have a child or children, you can take them with you. Or maybe they could also leave regularly and go stay with a friend on a regular basis or with their other parent. So you can think about how to weave leaving regularly in to your schedule. And this takes some pressure off of our partners too. All my sympathy goes to you. If you're a partner who's watching this, it can be a little shocking sometimes to hear that your wife, your partner, the stepmom, wants to leave regularly and according to a pre-planned schedule that protects their well-being. Because, our instinct is, oh, no, we're all a family. We're all supposed to be together, right? Or, hey, I need your help. Don't just leave me with all of this. Or, hey, what will the kids think that you don't like them? So I have good news, which is when a stepmom takes care of herself and is less stressed, then the relationship with the partner improves, the relationship with the stepkids improves, and her ability to stay long-term improves. So it can actually be a really good thing to do for the relationship. And as far as missing out on having someone there to help with the stepkids, if you're feeling at all guilty about leaving your partner with all of that, then think again, because if you were not in the picture, if they were not dating, if they were not married, then they would figure it out. Parents have a remarkable ability to figure these things out. If they don't, and which can happen as well, and things might not go well, you might be concerned for your stepchildren's well-being. If they are left alone with your partner because there just isn't enough of your partner to go around, then I would say work that out. Come up with an alternative that is not you. If you need time away, you need to be able to take that time away. Time and time again, the studies show us that helps stepfamilies. And if you want some ideas for alternatives to you filling in for your partner, then that's what the game planning is all about. So again, you can download the kit down below. What is the third option for controlling your environment when you're a stressed out stepmom? And this often comes again at the time of burnout, and that is leaving entirely. Yeah. Leaving entirely is an option. When you realize that stepmothering is not sustainable for your health, and you don't just realize it, you actually experience the fallout, hair falling out, such poor sleep that your career is suffering, other negative effects. It's affecting your money. Maybe you're going broke because you're pouring everything into this. If your relationship has just become toxic because the communicating around these power imbalances has just become impossible without enough support from a counselor or a coach. If too much of your trauma is being triggered and from before the stepfamily experience, or maybe even because of your stepfamily experience, those all take a serious toll and affect our executive functioning, which is our ability to navigate daily life and get things done. If it's affecting how you're parenting your own children or taking care of elderly parents or others in your life, then yeah, leaving the relationship does start to feel, and a lot of times is, the only option to save you and to save your stepfamily as well. Because when we're really sick and imbalanced, physically sick and emotionally imbalanced by all the stress, then that has a negative impact on the stepkids, our own kids, our partner, everybody. So leaving the relationship entirely. Now, my suggestion here is if you're burned out and you don't want to get to the place of needing years to recover, thousands of dollars of health treatments and counseling, and you know yourself well enough to know that you are approaching burnout, right? Take those other two options first. Consider those other two options first. Imagine them, try them, experiment. Or you know yourself really well and your instincts are telling you that you're done, I would say leave sooner rather than later. By leaving the relationship entirely, we give ourselves the space to decompress, to feel the feelings we weren't safe to feel or express within the home, to take the time to do the self-care, to reset our nervous system, to see more clearly. And if the love is still there for the partner that you have, then that will become more accessible to you if you've had a chance to recover. And then the two of you can redesign your life together and do it differently, do it better, do it better. What I want to invite you to do is to surface what you have been thinking success looks like for you, what you should be aiming for. What have you been aiming for? And then also to write down, actually, what does success look like for a stepmom? If what you've been aiming for is what success looks like for a mom, it's going to be different than what success looks like for a stepmom. And how do you know what success looks like for a stepmom? It's going to be clarity, self-awareness, conscious choice making, rather than reactive desperation, constantly putting out fires and crisis managing without any authority. That's going to look different than it is for a mom who has more authority, has the neurochemicals running through her body that have bonded her to her children so she can withstand, even though it can be arduous and deeply difficult for mothers. It absolutely can. It really can. And yet there are these psychological and neurochemical factors in place that keep her in the game, right? And for a stepmom, it's different. So setting boundaries and designing your life with a bit more freedom and authority is important. If you made it this far, that tells me that you have the willingness to look at your stress as a stepmom with the intention to intentionally create solutions rather than just winging it all the time and jumping off that cliff without a parachute. I hope this helps. And you go ahead and make any comments you want down below, and go ahead and download that game planning kit. And I will see you in the next video.